All right, so the easiest way to do this is to take your photos and make sure they're in your folder and drag, click all of them. They're in sequential order, so when you drag them to the timeline, two things will happen. One, it'll line up all the pictures here on your timeline, and two, it'll put all the pictures here um, in your project folder where all the individual photos are. But you'll notice that the photos default to setting them for 1 second I'm sorry, 5 seconds each shot. And that would end up being extremely slow if you played it down. So rather than shrinking all of these individually to make the animation, the way that you're going to do this is to click this X, which clears the timeline. And instead of re-importing the photos, which are all here, you'll notice that there is a project. See if the zoom in works. A sequence file, and the sequence has all of them together. When you drag the sequence file to the timeline, what you get is a solid piece of video. It's still too long, but it's going to be a whole lot easier to edit. And the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to click on the Ripple Delete Edit tool until you see the Rate Stretch tool. And the Rate Stretch tool gives you the ability to really quickly grab that film and shrink it down to 1 or 2 seconds depending on how long your animation is. When you watch it again, you'll see that the motion is a lot smoother and it's a really quick way to go from pictures to timeline to using the sequence clip. Ideally, the sequence clip is meant to do multiple sequences, so whether it's a scene or it's several animations that you're stitching together, if you wanted to name it, you could rename it. I'm just going to call this Animation 1. And that way you can keep track of all the sequences that you've created, and when you put multiple sequences together, you can do that without having a timeline that's 10 minutes long. You could have several 2-minute scenes that you could just stitch together. And then whenever you want to, you can close this out and double-click the sequence clip, and then you're back to being able to edit the sequence itself and make some changes, and then that'll apply. Either way, it's important to understand what that sequence clip is doing and how it's working with Adobe.